Hey, this is Aiden from Workman Firearms. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to install the Shield Arms magazine catch that's compatible for the S15 15-round magazines, for the Glock 43X, or for the Glock 48 as well. I'm also going to be showing you how to install the Shield Arms magazine extension plus 5 onto the regular S15 magazines. Now, before I get started and before we go through everything, I'm going to talk about some things that we're going to need. You're going to need some needle nose pliers, preferably ones that are smaller than the ones I have right now. That'll just make your life easier. A small little screwdriver. I like to use like a jeweler's screwdriver that's very nice and tiny. Some Loctite, and then I have a Glock tool. You don't really need this Glock tool right here. You can always use like you can use a punch as well. It'll do the same thing. And then a little parts container. This is gonna help keep everything organized and so you don't lose anything. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so now before we work on our firearm, we're always gonna clear it. I got my Glock 43X here. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the source ammunition. Then we're gonna lock the slide to the rear. After I lock the slide to the rear, I'm gonna physically and visually inspect my chamber. I'm gonna inspect my magazine well. And one last time, I'm gonna physically and visually inspect my chamber. All right, the firearm's clear. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna disassemble it. Press in that trigger, with an overhand grip, pull that slide 1/8 inch back, just like so. Pull down on your slide lock, take off that slide, and now we're just gonna be working with the frame of the firearm. Now from here, what we need to do is we need to remove the magazine catch spring, which is located inside the magazine well, right in here. So it doesn't look like a traditional coiled spring. It's just a piece of metal that's straight up and down, and that is what's keeping constant tension on your magazine catch that's in there right now. So essentially what we need to do is you need to apply pressure on the right side of the magazine catch, because we need to push the magazine catch spring to the right. So we're pushing it that way, meaning we need to keep constant force on this side to actually get that spring out. And the spring is actually locked inside a tiny little groove that's in here. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is take your screwdriver, your tiny nice flathead, and you need to come in from the top. You're gonna come in from the top and you're gonna kind of get under that spring. You don't want to come in from the bottom because it's a lot harder. So you're going to come in from the top. Then once you kind of get the tip of this flathead screwdriver into the spring, or kind of under the spring, then you're going to apply with slow, steady force right pressure. And it's a little hard for you to see in there, but all I'm doing is I'm going to start applying slow, steady force onto that magazine catch spring and slowly lift it out of that groove that's locked into right now. So I'm gonna start doing that right now. Nice and slowly. There we go. You don't want to do it really quick. You don't want to apply an excessive amount of force. You just want to do it nice and slowly. If you do it this way, you're not going to scratch up the inside of your magazine well. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but it's the easiest way to do that. So now you can see that that spring is just straight up and down, and it's not locked into the magazine catch little notch in there anymore. So now it's just straight up and down. So this is where you're gonna go get your needle nose pliers, which are right here. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna reach down in there, grab the tip of that spring that's inside of there. I'm just gonna pull it out nice and easy. And like I said, if you have smaller needle nose pliers, it'll make it a lot easier. Because with these larger ones, I just do not have a good grip on it. And that's your magazine catch spring, and it's just gonna come right out. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it in my parts container so I don't lose it. And then as you can see, your magazine catch, the stock one, your Glock one, just falls right out. I'll put that aside as well. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the Shield Arms magazine catch right here. I'm gonna open it up, and now we're gonna work on installing that magazine catch. It's gonna be a lot easier than removing it. Okay, and now we're just gonna take the Shield Arms magazine catch and we're gonna install it. So make sure that you have the stippled end going in right to left. All we're gonna do is just slide it in. And now from here, we're gonna take our magazine catch spring and we're gonna drop this guy in. So you're gonna grab your needle nose again, And we're just gonna set it in there. You really just drop it right down in there. Once you got it in the groove, so it's staying there, then I'll grab the top and you just push it down until it stops and it aligns with the notch inside your magazine catch. All right, so from there, as you can see, it's still standing straight up and down. It's not engaged inside that magazine catch notch yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'll take that flathead screwdriver again, and all I'm gonna do is I'll take my finger, I'm gonna hold pressure against the right side of the magazine catch, and then I am going to take the screwdriver and start moving that spring to the right inside of that notch. Just nice and slowly. And then as you can see, it just locked right in there. Now once you got in the notch, you're just gonna check for resistance, make sure that it's functioning correctly. Good, so I got nice proper tension on it. And we reassembled it correctly. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take a magazine and I'm just gonna test it real quick. You always wanna test it. So I have one of my S15 mags from Shield Arms, and now I'm gonna test it. Drop it out. It should just fall right out effortlessly. Pull on it, make sure it doesn't come out. Hit that magazine catch, comes right out effortlessly. All right, so now I'm just gonna reassemble it. Drop your magazine, put the slide back on. And then all we can do is we can just set this aside because we got our magazine catch in there. And now we're gonna start working on the Shield Arms +5 for the S15 magazine extension. And I'm gonna show you how to install that real quick. So grab your Shield Arms S15 magazine, and then you're gonna take out the magazine, S15 magazine extension. Inside that package is you have your new spring, you have your extension piece, which is a really nice metal. Really, it feels really good. It's a solid build. And then you're gonna have this tiny little baggie. And inside of there, you're gonna have two types of Allen wrenches, which I'll talk about. And then you're also gonna have this little set screw that actually goes into your magazine extension that actually locks and holds it in place. And I'll go over how to install those. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my little Glock tool. I'm gonna remove the base plate on your stock S15 Shield Arms magazine. So I'm gonna press in that base plate pad that's holding it in, and then I'm just gonna slide it forward. Go keep constant tension on there. I'm gonna set that aside of my parts bin, and then I'll take that out. And then you're gonna remove that magazine spring, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take off your follower, set the spring aside, don't get them mixed up, and then all I'm gonna do is the small portion. So you have a large portion, and then you have a small portion of their the other magazine spring that's gonna go into the extension. You're gonna take your follower and you're just gonna put it on that small portion, and you're gonna press it in until you hear a click. There we go. Got that guy ready. And now what I'm going to show you next is we're going to talk about our two Allen keys. So you have a larger Allen key and then you have a smaller Allen key. So the large Allen key is actually used to remove the base pad on your S15 magazine extension. And then this small one is for the magazine extension set screw. So I'm going to go ahead and just get that one ready. Put it in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just set that aside. And now we're just gonna work on installing our magazine extension. Okay, now from here, I'm gonna grab my larger Allen key, gonna remove this set screw, and I'm just gonna set this guy aside, slide that right off, come right off. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna install your magazine extension onto the magazine. You'll use slight force, but it goes on relatively easy. There you go, it'll just click right into place. Make sure it's all the way in there. Now from here, before we even work on the magazine anymore, I'm just gonna take a little bit of Loctite just to make sure that the set screws don't come on loose. And I'm just gonna use a very small amount on each one of these. Now, the smaller set screw, the silver one, we're gonna install this guy first. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna drop down into the magazine extension and it's gonna come out the other side, making sure that the extension holds really nicely onto the magazine itself. So we're just gonna screw that guy in. There you go. You don't want to make it too tight. We already got some Loctite on there. Take it out, and as you can see, it's protruding through the other side, and that's what really holds this magazine extension onto that magazine. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we'll take our magazine extension, our magazine spring, the longer one, with the follower, make sure the follower is going up properly. And now we're gonna install this guy up through the bottom. Make sure it's facing the right way. And now we're gonna take the base plate. I'm gonna push down tension on this guy right here. Then we're gonna slide that base plate right over that spring. Go on, and then I'll take that set screw. So this is the larger Allen key, and I'm just gonna screw that guy in. Remember, you don't wanna make any of these too tight. Wipe away that Loctite. And now what you need to do next is we're gonna load these guys up and we're gonna test them. I'll just show you how it looks. Insert it, pull on it, make sure it doesn't come out. Pulling on it pretty hard, it's not coming out, so that's good. And then effortlessly, you wanna hit that magazine catch, pops right out. Try it again, pops right out. Try it again, pops right out. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load this up, take it to the range, and we're gonna see how it shoots. You always wanna functions test them. So let's go do that. Okay, so we loaded up 20 rounds into our S15 Shield Arms magazine with the extension. And we're just gonna see how it cycles, make sure that it cycles correctly. Cycles pretty good.